talk a lot about stuff on Easy Rightsizing every Sunday morning with Jeannine Bryant of Changing Spaces SRS. One of the toughest stuff items that I've found to deal with as I've moved is all those photographs.
Yes.
Is that typical, Jeannine?
You're in good company, Dale. We hear that all the time. I mean, probably 3 times a week I hear that. What do I do with all of my photos? My clients will open up a cupboard and they'll have beautiful shelves upon shelves of very neatly organized photo albums. And they know that they probably can't bring all of those with them if they're downsizing. So what do you do with them? It feels sacrilegious almost to throw out those photos, doesn't it?
It feels disrespectful to the people in the photos.
Yep, like you're throwing away the memories. Yep. So today I thought it would be useful to our listeners to talk about what do we do with those photos and how do we manage the sheer volume of them. Okay, so I'm going to encourage everyone to start the way I generally always encourage people to start these decluttering projects, and that is by setting a limit, okay, for how many photos you're going to keep. The first step I always recommend people do is get all of their photos in one place so that they understand how much they're dealing with.
The sheer volume.
Yes. So do you have 3 boxes of photos or do you have 30 boxes of photos? Okay, so that we kind of know what is our starting point. And then when you think about, if you're moving, or you think about your new place, how much space do you have for those photos in the new place? So does that mean that you're going to try to get your photos down to 1 box, to 5 boxes, whatever you feel like you've got room for? And then we turn our attention to the collection of photos that we've amassed. And the first step is that we start weeding through what we've got. Because just because you took a photo does not mean you have to keep that photo until the day you die, right? Now, I'm going to give you some examples of some photos that it really is okay to let go of. Okay, and by let go of, I mean throw out. Yes, I know I hear people gasping out in the audience, but
That's a tough task.
I know, but stay with me here, okay? So here's some examples of some photos that we can toss out. Doubles. Remember when we used to get our film developed, we used to get doubles,
sure.
Okay? You don't need to keep both copies of the same photo. You can send the other copy to a family member or a friend, or you can toss it out. Scenery shots with no people in them. Right? Dale, if you visited the Rocky Mountains in 1974 and you took a bunch of pictures of the beautiful trees and the beautiful mountains and maybe you saw a moose and you took those, no one needs to see those pictures again, right?
And the same scenery is still there today?
Absolutely. Yes, you can still go and see it. So with scenery shots from travels, oftentimes they're only interesting to the people who were on that trip with you. So if you went on that trip with a spouse and you've still got your spouse, go through those photos one last time, pour yourself a glass of wine, look through the scenery shots, relive your vacation, and then let them go. Because chances are your kids, if they weren't on that trip with you, they're not going to want those photos. Now, if it's a picture of a loved one standing in front of the Rocky Mountains, then yes, keep that one. But let go of all the photos that don't have people in them. Okay. The next category of photos that you can get rid of are photos of people you cannot name. Okay. If you don't really know who these people are in these photos, you don't have to keep them. Now, here's my advice for that, because it feels very difficult to throw out pictures of people. Even if you don't know who they are. So maybe they are, in my family, this happened to me. I've got a lot of those black and white photos from 100, 150 years ago, and I don't know who these people are. So do your due diligence, okay? Ask your family members who are still around if they can identify who these people are. If you're from a small town like I am, maybe show them to people from your hometown. Maybe they know who some of those people are, okay? Maybe they're their relatives. They're not your relatives. If you do find someone who knows who that person is, give the photo to them, okay? In the age of Facebook, it's really easy to take your smartphone and take a picture of that old photo, post it to your Facebook page and say, hey, everyone, any idea who this person is? I had this photo in my basement and I think it's from, North Dakota in the early 1900s. Does anyone have any ideas? And you might just find the answer there. After you've done your due diligence, though, and if you still can't identify who that person is or who any of their living relatives might be, say a prayer, have a ceremony if you must, and toss them out. You're not going to magically figure out who they are just by storing them in your basement.
Maybe
Okay.
have another glass of wine.
There you go. Absolutely. That's always the answer. Another category of photos you can let go of are photos that are blurry, photos of people you don't like. Okay.
That's a good category.
I mean, why keep a photo of a person you don't like? Also, why keep a photo that is unflattering of either yourself or of someone you like? If it's not a flattering photo, just toss it. This is your opportunity to edit history a little bit. Now, if you have a lot of photos from a particular event, maybe it's a birthday party or a graduation or a baby shower that you threw. If you have 30 photos of that event, ask yourself, do I really need to keep all 30 photos of that graduation? Or could I keep the best 3 or 4 photos of the graduate and their parents or the family members and then let the rest of them go? Right? The modern example of this is my kids. I've got 2 little kids. Every time, in the age of a smartphone, we don't have to worry about, I've only got 15 photos left on this roll of film. Now we can take hundreds of photos and we don't have to edit ourselves. But every time my kids build a snowman, I take 30 pictures, right? Because I'm trying to get just the right angle and just the perfect smile so I can post it on my Facebook page. I don't need to keep all 30 photos of that snowman, right? If I keep 1 or 2 photos of every snowman my kids build for their entire childhood, that's doing pretty well, don't you think? So those are some examples of photos that you're really keeping the best, letting go of the rest. Are you sensing a theme here in my advice?
I went to the park this weekend with my granddaughter. I still have on my phone right now 15 pictures of her and the dog.
Yes, absolutely.
On a swing.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
And I need 2.
Yes. Yep. The best 2. Just choose the best 2 and let go of the rest. So that's the first step, is weeding through what you've got. Okay, so now hopefully from your large collection of photos, you've gotten rid of the photos that maybe are the least important to you and you've kept the ones that are the most important to you. Then it's time to sort and organize the photos that you're choosing to keep. Okay, and this is a monumental task. I get it, people. I've been through it myself. And when you are talking about boxes and boxes of photos, in my family, my mother was an only child. She was also an only grandchild. So we have generations of photos going back a couple generations, and all of those ended up in our house. My mother has passed away. She passed away in 2005. So then I got the task of sorting through all these photos. Here's how I did it. I broke it down into first sorting the photos into 2 categories. Here's mom's side of the family. Here's dad's side of the family. Okay, so now I had 2 groups of photos. Then you could go back if you wanted to and make even more categories. On dad's side of the family, here's dad's side of the family. Here's dad's mom's side of the family. Mom's dad's side of the family and mom's side of the family. So now instead of 2 categories, we have 4 categories. Then, if you want to start sorting by year, you can, but by year, that seems kind of overwhelming, doesn't it?
That's daunting.
Yes. So what I did is I did it by decade. Here's 19 photos from 1960s, 1970s, 80s, 90s, okay, and so forth. So you can go into as much or as little detail as you want, but even sorting into these broad categories suddenly makes finding those photos, if you're looking for a particular photo, it makes it so much easier after you've sorted them into these broad categories. Then the next step, if you've got some time and energy left, and I tell you this would be a great gift to future generations that come after you, is to write a short note on the back of photos that aren't labeled as to who's in the photo, maybe approximately the year, so that a little bit of the story goes along with the photo for future generations. Because someday you're not going to be here, and your kids or your grandkids are going to be looking at these photos, and they're going to be wondering, who is this? Why was this photo taken? And should I be keeping it? And boy, I tell you, I've got photos that have my mother's handwriting and my grandmother's handwriting on them, and those are so valuable. Those photos I'm definitely keeping because I know exactly who's in them. I know exactly why the photo was taken, and it's got a precious piece of their handwriting on it. So that's a great gift that you can give to future generations. Now, lastly, if you really want bonus points, I'm going to encourage you to digitize those photos. Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, that means taking the physical photo that you've got and scanning them so that they are a digital file that can be stored on your computer. Now, if you're going to store it on your computer, you better make sure you're backing it up as well. In my household, we have an online service that we pay for, and it automatically backs up our computers every night so that if our computer crashes, we've still got all that data. But if you scan these photos, you can do it yourself. There are national companies who scan your photos. There are local companies who will scan your photos. It's expensive. It's not cheap, which is why we go through the first step of weeding through what we've got first. We only want to scan the photos that are really important. We don't want to scan blurry photos of the Rocky Mountains, okay? But if we scan the photos and get them digitized, now suddenly they become so much easier to share with our family members and with our friends and enjoy. And now suddenly they are preserved for generations to come. If you think about, you've got, your set of family photos. If you've got 3 children, you don't want to have to divide the photos, the precious photos that you've decided to keep, into 3 different groups to pass on to your kids. You want to scan those photos so that all 3 kids get all of your photos, right? What a blessing that is. I tell you, I went through this process about 5 years ago with my family's photos. We scanned them all and digitized them, and it has become so handy as a way of me sharing my photos with family members and friends. I'm originally from North Dakota, so a lot of my family members are in another state. And recently, this last year, my godfather passed away. I was able to, I think it took me less than 10 minutes, I was able to go into the digital photos on my computer, find the photos I had of my godfather, and email them to his son. Now, I never would have done that if they were physical photos that I had to dig through in a box and then make a copy of them and mail them to him via the U.S. mail. I never would have done it. But it was so convenient to have those digital photos on my computer and be able to share them. You can post them on Facebook, and more people can enjoy them that way. So those are my tips for sorting through your photos. Does it sound doable?
A lot of good information. It seems doable instead of daunting.
That's right.
If you missed some of Jeannine's tips, go to her Facebook page. You can also go to EasyRightsizing.com. Not only this conversation, but past conversations from
That's
Easy
right.
Rightsizing. Every Sunday morning we're here, Easy Rightsizing on KFOR.